Good afternoon and welcome to Bradenton, Kiwanis. We are glad you're here today. I ask you to stand, silence your cell phones, and join me in singing My Country 'Tis of Thee, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the invocation today by Dick Gross.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As Dick makes his way up, I have some news to let you know about that's been approved to say from the Schrott family. Please keep Dave Schrott, his family, in your thoughts and prayers as he battles terminal cancer, which is imminent. He is currently under the care of hospice at his home and has been surrounded by family and friends for the past several days. Just bow your heads in silence just for a minute.
Let us pray. Help us to do your will in all ways, especially leading to the needs of others. Help us to learn that our prayers are answered, not when we are given what we ask, but when we are challenged to be what we can be. And now bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies and our bodies to your service. In your most holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Dick. You may be seated. We'll be back in about 10-15 minutes. Just got word that Dave has passed away from his illness. If you could just bow your heads in silence just for a minute. Thank you, everybody. Keep him and his family in your hearts and prayers. Good afternoon and welcome back. We're glad you're here today. I'm so happy to see so many people in the audience on my last official meeting. So thank you for attending. At this time, I'd like to call up Mac Aldrich to introduce our guests.
All right, good afternoon, Kiwanis. Everybody having a good time? Oh yeah, there we go. The enthusiasm was underwhelming. I appreciate everybody who stepped in my absence, and thank you so much for everything, especially Ed for getting all of those articles written for the newsletter, and for Jan and Ray and everybody else who stepped in, Dave, back there at the table. It's a lonely job, but somebody's got to do it. At any rate, we have a few guests today I'd like to introduce. First of all, Mr. Gene Brown, if you'll stand up, Councilman. Kevin Van Ostenbridge is starting off again trying to get that, new member award. So that's his guest today. I also want to recognize Madison Burt, our Manatee High School Key Club president. She's very active and very interested in getting involved in stuff, which is great. Miss Amanda Horn. Hey, Amanda. We'll forgive her for not standing up. She had a little oopsie while she was on vacation, so you can talk to her about it later. Also, TJ Cornett has brought a guest, Doug Walters. Thank you. Linda Enberg is here with her representing her husband, or with her husband. Tammy Overbeck, she is with our guest speaker today. Brett Kemker, with Dr. Holbrook from the University of South Florida, Manatee campus. And then we also have Lori Stryker, who is a guest of Sharon, who could not be here today. And then I will let Conrad introduce his wife.
I'm Conrad Stansky, my wife is Dan.
And I just want to also say that today is National Voter Registration Day. And this is a day to encourage anyone who has not yet taken the time to register to vote to do so, and do it yesterday. Thank you.
Okay, I call up Tom Mosley for the video of the week.
So at a school in Australia, they failed students that missed too much school and didn't finish their work, and the parents of these students ended up suing them at the schools, so they ended up doing a new recording on their answering machine for the school.
Hello, you have reached the automated answering service of your school. In order to assist you in connecting to the right staff member, please listen to all the options before making a selection. To lie about why your child is absent, press 1. Make excuses for why your child did not do his homework, press 2. To complain about what we do, press 3. To swear at staff members, press 4. To ask why you didn't get information that has already been enclosed in your newsletter and several flyers that have been mailed to you, press 5. If you want us to raise your child, if you want to reach out and touch, slap, or hit someone, press 7. To request another teacher for the third time this year, press 8. To complain about bus transportation, press 9. To complain about school lunches, press 0. If you realize this is the real world and your child must be accountable and responsible for his or her own behavior, classwork, and homework, and that it's not the teacher's fault for your child's lack of effort, hang up and have...
Thank you, Tom. At this time, I just want to remind you that we are getting close to the time that we need to make a decision on Veterans Day guests, the amount of guests that we can invite from outside the club. So please get your RSVPs in as soon as you can. There'll be a strategic planning meeting immediately after today's luncheon. And a reminder for committee chairs, you have your goals for your committees that need to be turned in by September 27th. Oh, it's time for Kiwanis, right, it's time for Salvation Army bell ringing. Bell ringing sign up is on the back table, and bell ringing will be December 13th and 14th at Publix Westgate. Please don't forget to sign up. At this time, yes? Okay, and there is a past presidents meeting after this too. Jack Powers, where's Jack? Come on up, Jack. So Jack is, y'all know Jack. Jack is one of our relatively new members, but Jack has completed all the necessary requirements to get off probation and to get your pin. So come on up, Jack. Thank you. Let me pin you. I like to pin you. Ow. That was supposed to be for you, but it's got me. Thank you again.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Let's give a hand to Jack. Okay, at this time, I'd like to introduce our speakers. Today's presentation is Community Partnership School at Manatee Elementary. Conrad Szymanski is retired from the Bell's department store after 33 after 33 years in 2012. He was past president of the Bell's department stores from 1995 to 2007, and then president of Bell's and Burke's outlet stores 2007 to 2012. He presently serves on the board of Bell's Incorporated and the Manatee Community Foundation. He is active in education and literacy causes. Also speaking today is Dr. Tammy Van Overbeck. She's got a Bachelor of Arts degree from Augsburg College in elementary education and sociology, a master's from Hamline University in service learning, and a PhD from Argosy University in educational leadership and administration. She has 27 years of rising through the ranks in Title I schools, education in Minneapolis until she had to relocate here for family reasons. She enters her third year as principal at Manatee Elementary. Would you please welcome Conrad Szymanski and Dr. Tammy Overbeck.
Well, good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be presenting to you our plans to make Manatee Elementary a community partnership school. This is a concept that Ruth Ann and I learned about 10 months ago, and found it very, very compelling. And fortunately, a group in Manatee County came together, and most importantly, Cindy Saunders was very supportive of the concept, and we've gotten some traction, and recently were awarded a state grant to proceed with our planning year for this community partnership school. So here's a snapshot of recent Florida Standards Assessment ratings, and the district has been a B grade the last 3 years. But importantly, we trail the state in our third grade reading proficiency. And why is it that we trail the state? Well, 15 of our 32 elementary schools are Title I schools. And when you take those 15 schools and you do an average of their reading proficiencies, comes in at 31%. And in fact, just this week there was an article released, some research out of Stanford that said poverty is much more defining of any opportunity gap than race or ethnicity. So here's what those last few years since the Florida Standards Assessment has been in place look like, and you can see the dark brown is the state, the dark blue is Manatee County, and then the tan color are our Title I schools. And why is third grade reading so important? And I'm taking this from the campaign from Grade Level Reading, and they really focus on three things. One is people that don't read on grade level by grade 3 are 13 times more likely to drop out of school. And of course, then they're not eligible for most of the jobs in today's economy. And they have much higher social costs, and they produce lower tax revenues. So why did we choose Manatee Elementary? Well, the district certifies those that are eligible for free and reduced lunch, and Manatee Elementary has 83% of their students being certified, which ties them with Rogers Garden for the highest number qualifying for free and reduced lunch. In 2019, the reading proficiency was 25%, which was up from 20% in 2018. So you can see it's even below the Title I average. But I think the exciting news is that we've got a great principal in place, and Dr. Van Overbeck and her staff have raised that school grade from a D to a B in 2019. Why community partnership schools? Well, they're really a comprehensive way to deal with the issues of poverty that occur in Title I schools. In the state of Florida, 22% of our school-age children live in poverty. And today, for a family of 4, as an example, the poverty line is defined at roughly $25,000 per year in household income. So 22% of our students in Florida live below poverty. In Manatee County, the number is 24%. A little quote from Freakonomics, most of the difference between privileged children and underprivileged children is what occurs outside of school, not what occurs inside of school. Inside of school is only 20% of the students' daytime. So what a community partnership school does is it endeavors to put together integrated student supports that fill that opportunity gap. And it's a movement that has gained a lot of attention around the country. There are now 5,000 community partnership schools functioning at some kind of level. Not all of them doing all the integrated supports we hope to be doing, but doing some piece of that. But we'd be the first school in Southwest Florida. Our school is built on a model pioneered by the University of Central Florida and Children's Home Society. And the first thing that you have to do to get certified as a school is bring together 4 core partners, and we've done that. We have the University of South Florida, Sarasota, Manatee. Thank you. We have Children's Home Society, who is a statewide not-for-profit. We have MCR Health Services, formerly Manatee County Rural Health, with some support from USF providing the wellness support. And lastly, we have the School District of Manatee County. We also are bringing in supporting partners, and we've been very early in our process here, so we only have a few supporting partners that we've engaged in conversation, but people like Step Up Suncoast, 13th Avenue Dream Center, Take Stock in Children, and Parenting Matters are not-for-profits that we've engaged in conversation. The UCF model is based upon 4 pillars. The first is collaborative leadership, and that's trying to give everybody a voice at the table in running the school. The second is expanded learning, so expanding the school day, expanding the school year, filling in the summer gap. The third is wellness supports, and we're talking a complete suite of wellness supports. And the last is converting that investment in a school campus into a family and community engagement center. We're seeing some very interesting observations come out of our families regarding that. So the whole process begins with a community needs assessment. We can't sit around in a room and tell the community around Manatee Elementary what they need. We really have to understand what the needs are in the community, so we've engaged a professional organization. We are midway through the cycle of completing that research. But we're contemplating including all the core tenets in the campaign for grade level reading and doing everything we can to address the economic gaps that emerge in that community. And one of the pieces is looking at and we're seeing a lot of interest come through the focus groups in a 2-generation approach, so that the parents are looking for some support, and we can leverage that school campus to provide that support. So this gives you kind of a full range of the types of things that we're looking at, but we're looking at, what can be done in the early literacy area, a full suite of wellness supports, which include health care, dental care, vision services, mental health, which is important, and nutrition support, expanded learning, some of which is going on campus already, which we've been using some 21st century grants to do after school tutoring that has helped that school raise its grade from a D to a B. Parental support, which these parents need before and after care. And they're requesting classes, and we're providing a clothes closet with already. And we're looking at an expanded food pantry in that school. And then enrichment support is critically important, and the arts integration is going to be a big piece of this. USF has a significant program in this arena, and so we're going to leverage some of the strengths that USF has in that arena and make a significant arts program, but also provide clubs and athletics. And probably the last thing I should mention is one of our grand ambitions in this is to be able to provide some kind of scholarship promise. It's an expensive component of this, but if we can raise the funds, we'd like to take children that are graduating the 5th grade at Manatee Elementary and move them through the Take Stock program, which would give them access to college and access to mentorship all the way through. We're lucky here in Florida that the model for this has been 8 years in existence. It was pioneered at Evans High School in Orlando in the Pine Hills neighborhood. It's been very successful there. And the state legislature has been very supportive of that, and we've been recipient of a legislative grant for this school year beginning next month in October. And the two organizations provide organizational expertise, best practices, and certification for that. And this is a snapshot of where the existing community partnership schools are under that partnership between UCF and Children's Home Society. You can see mostly they're in the center and northern parts of the state. But it's important to know what kind of results these schools are producing. So at Weiss Elementary, which is probably most similar to us, it reduced the out-of-school suspensions from over 400 to down around 100. It improved the teacher retention. It raised the school grade from an F to a C. In Evans High School in the Pine Hills area of Orlando, it improved the graduation rate from 58% to close to 90%. And it's turned around the school enrollment, which had been declining. And again, the school grade raised to a C. So how do you fund these things? And this is a concept that's kind of new to me. It's a braided funding concept. So there's some public funds, there's some private funds, and there's some partnerships with not-for-profits and volunteers and interns. And we'll be looking to utilize some of that, but we've secured our first year's funding for this school. So why support Manatee Elementary's endeavor to become a community partnership school? First, it's a successful and proven model in the state of Florida with wonderful support. Secondly, this is not a charter school. This is innovation and bold action taking place under the auspices of the school district, and I think that's very important that the school district gives us some important guardrails in terms of keeping the program sustainable. The model also moves the school district from a kind of one-size-fits-all approach to education to more tailoring the services and the education based upon the needs of the community being served. So it's an individualized approach to this. And it leverages our existing investment. And if you've not seen Manatee Elementary, it's one of our 2 oldest elementaries here in Manatee County, and it's got a wonderful little auditorium in it, which will really support its efforts in the arts. So it leverages our investment in that to make it a community asset, more than just a school that operates from 9 to 3. And lastly, it focuses our results into one community, into one school population, and then we can measure those results, and then we can run those against benchmark results and determine a return on investment. So one of the wonderful things about doing this type of volunteer work that I'm getting to do is that I get to meet some amazing people and work directly with them. And I've had the privilege of working with Dr. Van Overbeck on this. And a few days ago, we were doing a little tour of the campus, and it was getting close to lunchtime. And while we were doing the tour, there must have been at least 25 students come up and give her a hug, and other students saying, Dr. V, when do we get to eat lunch with you? But she really plays an important and vital role in this whole process. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. V.
Thank you so much. So Conrad asked me to talk just a little bit about who I am, so you guys know. I grew up on free and reduced lunch myself. My dad was American Indian. He had 3 jobs while I was growing up, so he wasn't in the home a lot. My mom was Irish. She was a stay-at-home mom. We moved 13 times because of racial issues before I was in 3rd grade. This is my 31st year in education. All of my time has been at Title I schools. I am so passionate for these kids. My teaching experience, everything K-8 except for 1st grade. Where I came from in Minneapolis Public Schools, I worked 20 years. Most of our schools are K-8s. So I've had that opportunity also. My principal experience was birth through 8th grade. I was the principal at a middle school campus that grew too large, 2,000 students. So we had a 7th and 8th grade campus, and 6 blocks away, a 6th grade campus, which was very interesting. That was an art school. Again, my passion really is about these kids. And in my heart, I want them to be able to choose the job they want and be able to work there so that we don't stand in their way. If they want to be a mechanic, that's great. But if they want to be a doctor, a lawyer, we owe that to them. So this is the progress. Conrad also asked me to talk about the progress we've made. They were a DNF school for many years. And then the school district of Manatee County wrote a grant to the Department of Education, and it's called a SIG-4 grant, which is a school improvement grant. It was the 4th time this grant was offered. They were awarded the grant. This was prior to my arrival. We are currently in the 3rd year of the grant. This is my 3rd year at the school. So it allowed us to establish and monitor systems across the school, which were not in place at all before. It allowed us common academic language. So when a 1st grade teacher says something about a math term, we do it across the grade level, so it doesn't confuse the children. And then we focus really on what was best for Manatee Elementary students. What do our kids need? And we need to give that to them. It's not the same as Rogers Gardens. It's not the same as Onico. What do our kids in our community need? Again, our grades, which you've seen, our motto this year is we are aiming for an A. It's a far reach, but we're working really hard to get there. And then just a little bit about this process that Conrad didn't talk about. The school was identified by the superintendent. They applied for the grant, developed an MOU, and we're finding, building, and maintaining relationships with these core partners, which is why we're here today. Space has been identified for that clinic, mental health. We need a lot of behavioral health help there. I have Centerstone there once a week now, and there's a waiting list for kids and families. So I have a building that is the farthest west that we emptied out. It was 4 classrooms. MCR Health walked through and said we could be a national model for this because of the amount of space we have available. The needs assessment is being completed right now. The job was offered to the director on Friday, so she'll begin soon. We're looking for partners to help us fund. We'd like all those children to be able to go to college. And then we're meeting regularly to make sure this is ready to open this fall. Some of the challenges that I've seen since I've been there or heard from families about, they're afraid to send their kids to school currently because of deportation. I know of 8 families this school year who have not sent their children at all, not one day because of that. Language is an issue. I'm 52% Hispanic, and communicating with anyone else is hard. I have a small Creole, Haitian Creole population. They can't communicate amongst themselves, and they can't communicate with us. I have hired a lot of Spanish-speaking staff, though, and they're amazing. We need medical care. That's very clear from talking to the parents. Actually, yesterday I talked to a mom, and she hadn't sent her kid to school all last week. He fell the weekend before, and my registrar went and picked them up and drove them to the hospital. He had a concussion and a broken arm. They don't have health insurance, and they're not documented. So she was not going to take him. So this is a daily thing that happens with my population. We need before and after school care. Parents really want sports and enrichment, though. They want the arts, they want those fun things. Our after-school program really focuses on catching kids up because that's the place that we're at right now. They come in so far behind. Parents would like ELL, GED, financial literacy, vocational certificates, and all kinds of courses that we can offer them to better themselves. They want to do that when it's available to them. My Spanish-speaking parents really want a Catholic church within the school community distance that they can belong to because of their faith base. And then they want an accessible library that has internet access, and we're kind of working on that too. Lastly, thank you so much for the opportunity to come here today. We're very passionate about this. Conrad and Ruth Ann have been instrumental in this. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to him, reach out to me. Come and take a tour. The kids are amazing. You will fall in love. We would love volunteers. We would love anybody who wants to help with any of this. So thank you very much.
So please, any questions?
I saw in one of the slides you have a huge increased teacher retention. What do you think that's attributable to?
That was at Weiss Elementary in Pensacola, and a couple of things came together to really increase. First is the teachers were getting the support they thought they needed, and so it made it fun to be there. But I think in addition, because of the community partnership schools, it provides a mission. And, people in today's environment want to, work with, be part of a mission-driven organization. So I think that helps. And then not in Weiss, but in some of our other schools, the university partners come in and done continuing education for the teachers, and that's been really particularly attractive because a lot of the teachers are looking to advance their degrees.
On the slide you showed earlier, the original concept was with UCF and the CHS. So, and they're all over the state. So why did we choose this time to go with USF instead of UCF?
So UCF just does they did the design of the original program, they did the total program layout, but you need a local university partner to provide you some interns, to provide some support for certain activities that you're doing. We're going to have a planning retreat, and we hope to do it there at USF. So that local university partner becomes critically important in the journey. And Tom?
Yeah, is this a 501c3 or is the funding go directly to the school? Set up the mechanism?
So what we have done so far is we've set up a community partnership school fund, at Manatee Community Foundation. And so that's up and it's available at all times. We're going through the needs assessment. Sometime after we finish that, we'll probably start working on what our needs are for year one and go out in the community and actually do more formal fundraising. But we do have this Field of Interest Fund at the Manatee Community Foundation that's up and going, and people can donate to it online if you want to.
What kind of work do you typically see your volunteers doing in this program?
We have lots of people come in and read or do math with students. I have a group of volunteers who comes in to translate. Manatee Elementary frequently gets students who don't speak any English, and so Spanish speakers will come in and help them through things, teach them basic vocabulary. We just love volunteers. I mean, we have some people who just want to come in and cut out things, and that's very helpful to us. So anything anyone wants to do, we are appreciative of.
I just add, our director comes on board in another week, and so then we're in a position to kind of formalize that program. Dawn.
I just want to applaud you for taking a long-term approach to this initiative, because I think it's very important for kids to have stability and continuity. And so many times we hear about programs that are sort of, a flash in the pan. They might have some great results, but something like this, I think, bodes well for our entire community because it is a long-term plan. And thank you for your vision and your hard work.
Yeah, and that was a point I failed to make when I was doing the presentation, that it is the Memorandum of Understanding is intended to last for 25 years, which is pretty ambitious. It's not 3 years worth of funding, which is the way philanthropists usually work, and then we're gone. It's a long term.
How have you planned to reach out to the early child care centers that are part of your community to bring them into this, because they have the children before they get to you?
Yeah, there's still a lot of reaching out we need to do, not just to early childhood, but to churches, this is a huge community effort for this area. But we do need to reach out, and I'm hoping we have pre-K on campus. Manatee Elementary slotted to have 200 more students next year because of rezoning, so we will be full. But that's a great point. We do need to reach out and work on something together.
Even professional development?
Yes, yes.
Y'all have a summer reading program.
Well, we are just leveraging the great work that Amanda and John are doing. The summer camp took place at Manatee L, and we took children out to Ellington, I think, from Manatee L. So,
Yeah, there's still a lot of reaching out we need to do, not just to early childhood, but to churches, this is a huge community effort for this area. But we do need to reach out, and I'm hoping we have pre-K on campus. Manatee Elementary slotted to have 200 more students next year because of rezoning, so we will be full. But that's a great point. We do need to reach out and work on something together.
Any more questions? Got time? Any more questions? Y'all could stay up here just for a second.
Yeah, there's still a lot of reaching out we need to do, not just to early childhood, but to churches, this is a huge community effort for this area. But we do need to reach out, and I'm hoping we have pre-K on campus. Manatee Elementary slotted to have 200 more students next year because of rezoning, so we will be full. But that's a great point. We do need to reach out and work on something together.
Conrad and Tammy, it's a tradition of the Bradenton Kiwanis to give you the Kiwanis Golden Rule to help you measure your future success of the community partnership at Manatee Elementary. Congratulations. Thank you. We're going to get pictures. Okay. Okay. All right, what a great presentation today. Again, I want to thank all of our guests today. We had a lot of guests. I hope those guests decide that this may be the service club for you. We have applications in the back with Mac, or see any of us to get an application. Want to remind you that there is a strategic planning meeting immediately after, along with a past president's meeting. Don't forget to sign up for the Salvation Army bell ringing at the back, December 13th and 14th at Bell's Westgate. And don't forget to sign up for you and any of your guests for the Veterans Day program. That's coming up next month, about a month, almost a month away. We hope you had a great day here at Kiwanis, and we hope to see you next week for our installation of our new officers. And just to let you know, I did give Mike a present. I did take the bell home and polish it, knowing that I was a firefighter for many years and did have to work with brass. I did polish the bell for Mike. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.